Hello, and welcome to our discussion on the point of sale system in Design Manager. My name is Brad, and I'll be hosting the discussion today. If you have a question, feel free to enter it into the questions pane on the GoToWebinar panel. If the question is outside of the scope of today's discussion, please email them to support@designmanager.com. And lastly, if you miss a portion of the webinar or want to review any of our past discussions, you can go to our Help Center at knowledge.designmanager.com. Go to the Webinars menu and select Recorded Webinars, where you can see any of our past recent discussions. Or you can go to our YouTube channel at Design Manager Inc. and you can view any of our past tutorials, webinars, and other help topics as well. Today we're going to be continuing our recent discussion on the inventory section in Design Manager, but this week we're going to be focusing on the point of sale system and its related features. For our previous discussion on entering and maintaining inventory, creating inventory purchase orders, committing inventory items to projects, and many other topics, see our general webinar on inventory, again at our YouTube channel, Design Manager Inc., and you can see the Inventory Pro Cloud or Professional Cloud and review any of those topics at your leisure. The point of sale module allows you to sell inventory items through a simple, easy-to-use system that takes very little time to implement properly. But there are a few initial configurations needed to utilize the point of sale, starting with creating any necessary warehouses. Now, warehouses in Design Manager are a specialized address used exclusively in the overall inventory system. Inventory items can be stored, purchased into, and sold out of individual warehouse locations. Warehouses can be reviewed on your Inventory tab and on your warehouses in showrooms. And there they are. In our case, we have two simple warehouses defined, one for our design office, Vita Nova Designs, and a second for a local storage location. Let's quickly add another as an example, and perhaps we'll be keeping our inventory at our Design Manager offices. So we'll click the Add button, just type in DEISG for our code, name, Design Manager Storage, our address, Doylestown, Pennsylvania 18902. Contact Brad and our phone number. And there we go. Click OK, and very simple, another warehouse has been created. And as you can see, really, the warehouse is a stylized shipping location, but it has the warehouse showroom already selected for you. So it's a shipping location specialized to handle inventory types of transactions. Very simple concept. And again, warehouses just designate the physical location of various quantities of inventory for you. Another necessary component to the point of sale system is having employees created and configured to utilize the point of sale. So if we go under our Project tab and our Employees glossary, we have our 3 employees listed. And let's examine one of our existing employees rather than creating a new one from scratch. On the Employee window, we want to focus on the Point of Sale Showroom tab. And this is the area where we need to configure a few settings so that our employee can utilize the point of sale system. Let's look at all of our options here. Allow receipt invoice date change. This determines whether or not the employee can change or alter the date of the sale, usually to back post the date. Perhaps someone is catching up on sales that may have occurred over the weekend or something like that, and you may want to backdate them. So we'll give Ashley that ability. Allow manual items and price edits. This determines whether or not the employee can change the price from the default selling price of the inventory item. In other words, can they override the pricing structure during the point of sale process? Now, we're a small firm, so if our employees are allowed to use the point of sale system, we're going to give them the ability to do so in order to, in cases where changing the price may be warranted for the client. Commission percentage, optional, of course, and this would be any percentage that the salesperson or employee gets upon making point of sale sales to a client, and it's really used exclusively with the commission report in Design Manager. And let's say we do a 10% commission. Very important, the default showroom and the default sales tax code. The default showroom tells Design Manager what warehouse, as we just discussed, that will be affected by any sales from Ashley. And let's say she does her work right out of a design store. And the default sales tax code. So when Ashley rings up a point of sale invoice, what taxing structure will she be utilizing? And let's say she's using our state of New Jersey. Very important if you may have multiple physical store locations in different states or at least in different tax areas. And all we have to do is click OK to save our changes. That's it. Those are all the real necessary configurations needed to implement the point of sale system. So let's go ahead and bring up some invoices. We'll close our employee glossary. We'll go to our accounting tab, and under our accounts receivable frame, we'll click on our point of sale button, which leads us to the point of sale logon. And notice it's asking for an employee code. This is not your cloud password or your cloud user account. This is the employee code, as we just saw. So let's use Ashley Brandon as our example. But notice I can't do a search into that code as I can do in most areas in the software, so I'm required to know the code, and as I enter it in, it is hidden just like a password would be on a accounting window or a login window, as you can imagine. Once I tab through, notice that my receipt or invoice date becomes enabled. Remember how we saw on Ashley's employee window, we gave her the ability to change the invoice date if necessary. The fiscal month, this will determine what fiscal period the sales will be recorded on our income statement, etc. The register. This designates which register is being utilized for the point of sale transactions. If you have purchased the supplemental cash drawer from Design Manager, effectively the register number really associates any receipt recorded by the user with a particular register number. The drawer button is used to configure that cash drawer if purchased from Design Manager. And which printer we'll be using to generate and print our point of sale invoices. So once we have Ashley's code entered properly, we can click OK, and that gets us to the point of sale invoice window, which is our main interface to making all of our point of sale invoices. Starting at the top, we're going to determine what type of sale is this. And it can either be on account, which would be for a client with an existing project, or more commonly, the walk-in, which is the default. A handy feature in Design Manager is once a client has been to our showroom and has already had an invoice generated in the past, Design Manager stores the information for us, so we can even search for that particular client using our search. And you can look by phone number, name, etc. And conveniently, let's select Tanya Parker Barton. Just by hitting the choose there and selecting Tanya as our client, all of our information is filled in for us. Hit the reset button, that conveniently clears the window for us. Now, if it's a brand new client, we must at least enter in a name. Everything else is optional. Now, I always suggest implementing a company-wide policy. What information is necessary? Do we record the phone number? Do we require the email, etc.? That way all users are entering in the same information. From the billing information here, you can actually generate mailing labels to your point of sale clients. You can export this information into Excel. So consistency is really important for all those functions to be useful. So before using the point of sale system, just create some sort of standardization of what information is required. Now, just to stay on point today, let's go ahead and use our search again, and we'll go back and select Tanya. Once all of our information is in on the billing address, we click the next button or hit our enter key, which brings us to the items tab. And now Design Manager is waiting for what stock number are we purchasing today. And we can enter it in a few different ways. If I know the stock number, I can simply type it in directly and hit my Enter key on my keyboard or click the Enter button, and Design Manager includes it on our stock items grid. I could also enter in the barcode number if I know that number. And there's the same exact stock number, stock item. I could also use our search, which is one of the most convenient ways to enter in the stock number, and just select and click Enter. Or if I have a point of sale scanner attached to my computer, I can simply scan the barcode on the label and Design Manager will automatically input that stock number for us. I can also manually add in a stock item or change the quantities or pricing by using the Add button along the right-hand side as designated by the green plus sign. So I could click Add, which gets us to our point of sale invoice item, and again I'm asking for a stock number. So let's select one here. And notice, as soon as I select my stock item, my description, unit price, sales category, and discount all default. Well, where does that information come from? It comes from, of course, all of the information for that inventory item in the inventory stock item glossary. Notice there's our description, our sales category, our sell price, our point of sale discount, all come right over for us. A few other features or pieces of information also default from various areas. The warehouse or store defaults from Ashley's default warehouse. Again, back on her employee window, remember how we added our main Vita Nova design store as her default warehouse. Further, the taxable setting, that comes also from Ashley's employee as we designated her default sales tax code. And if we look at the sales tax code for the state of New Jersey, we can see that merchandise is indeed taxable at 5% in this example. And that's how the taxing structure will be recorded. Now we can do a few things here. We could say we have a quantity of 2. Notice that my unit price, the discount percentage are all able for me to make any edits for. Again, that was one of the settings we discussed on the manually change price edits that we've given Ashley the power to do so. If we did not, both of those fields would be disabled and all we could do is really change the quantity. One feature about the point of sale discount, I'm using 10% as an example. If clients come into our showroom off the street, or if they're coming in for a meeting or something along those lines, we always give them a 10% discount. That can be configured as an overall company setting on our company information and settings window, inventory tab, point of sale discount. Just a handy default if that is something that your company utilizes. If we click OK, we can now see our 2 items on our inventory stock item grid, and we can see the extended prices, the discount, and the sell price, including tax, etc. If we click Next, now we're on our totals and payment screen. And the first piece of information the Design Manager is asking for is our payment type. And here is a list of the standard payment types that come configured with Design Manager: check, cash, Visa, MasterCard, American Express, etc. Those you can customize yourself, as many of you know. Further, if you have utilized Design Manager's optional service where we've partnered with Cayenne, one of the largest credit card processing companies in the country, you can have a account created with Cayenne and utilize their merchantware system. In that case, by selecting one of our credit card payment types, Design Manager will not only record the point of sale invoice, but actually process the credit card transaction for you. But let's imagine that the individuals come, or Miss Tanya's coming in and paying us via cash today. When I select cash, notice I have a transaction description available for me, where I could put in anything about the order that I might want to record, perhaps something along the lines of, I don't know, delivery ASAP. I could input the amount collected. Let's say that Tanya gives me a $100 bill. We can input that. The change calculates automatically for us. Now, with walk-in clients, we must have payment in full. On account client or project-related point-of-sale invoices, you do not have to have full payment at this time, which we'll see momentarily. The remarks can be edited, added to, appended, etc. These also are available on a company-wide setting. Back on our company information and settings, inventory tab, there are point-of-sale remarks. Anything input here will automatically appear on all point-of-sale invoices for us. But again, we can customize them on a per invoice basis if necessary. If we click print, Design Manager will show us the point-of-sale invoice. Now I'm using the full page or a standard letterhead version of the invoice. If you have the optional point-of-sale receipt printer, it would be catered to fit onto that document. And we can see our point-of-sale discount is shown for us. There's our stock number, unit and extended prices, total sales tax amount, payment. There's our payment type of cash. There's our transaction description conveniently listed for us, and the balance due being 0. I could print out a copy, of course, and upon closing, Design Manager automatically accepts or processes the point-of-sale invoice, and conveniently the change due is shown here as well. If we click OK, just like that, the point-of-sale invoice window remains up for us, ready to process the next point-of-sale invoice. What happened to the invoice? Well, now it simply acts as other invoices in Design Manager. We can review it by going to the Accounting tab, Client Invoices window, and in our existing tab, there it is. Notice that all point-of-sale transactions have a special project code of bracket point-of-sale, bracket to designate those throughout the system. And we can see the total sales, sales tax, net invoice, payment in full, and there's even our transaction description there listed for us. If I could reprint, if necessary, if I needed to void or reverse the point-of-sale invoice, first I would need to go to my cash receipt window and void the payment, and then I could credit or reverse the invoice, as many of you are familiar with. What else was affected with our point-of-sale transaction? Well, let's look at our inventory window. If we look at one of the items we just sold, bronze cabinet knobs, let's look at our status adjustment tab, and we can see the most recent transaction is our sale transaction. Today's date, what warehouse was utilized. We're reducing the on-hand and the paid for by 2, and we're also reducing our cost appropriately, which makes sense. We have now transferred that 1070 out of our inventory account into cost of goods sold. Very simple, quick, and effective way of selling our inventory to clients coming into our design studio or showroom. Let's run through a few more examples. Let's imagine that perhaps we're having some of our inventory being sent to a different location. So back on our point of sale invoice, let's imagine that Tanya has come in again and she might want to send some merchandise to her daughter. So we can see that by default, the ship to location is the same as the billing location, but we can change that just by using the ship to different address option. And upon selecting that option, we can see that all of the information is available for us to change. So we'll send this to her daughter, Ashley. Phone number. Again, I like to standardize all the information that I'm requiring my staff to enter. Princeton, New Jersey, 08542. Fantastic. Now, Everything else is very similar to our last example. We click Next. Here's an example or a scenario that could commonly occur. Let's imagine that Tanya knows her daughter loves a particular mirror she purchased. Well, we may have dozens of different kinds of mirrors available for sale in our showroom or design studio, so finding the proper one could be pretty difficult. So we can use the Point of Sale History button. This will show us all of the inventory items that Tanya has previously purchased on various occasions. And we can see, there's the Expedition mirror that she purchased, which is the one that her daughter Ashley wants to have. So we can select it, hit OK, and we're ready to process. Click the Next button. Select our payment type. Let's say Tanya puts it onto her Visa. When I select a credit card type, my credit card number and expiration are available. We'll just throw in the last 4 digits and the expiration, charge amount, the full $581.18. We could add some additional remarks. Be sure to note shipping address. And again, we're ready to proceed. Click the Print button. There's our invoice. Our remarks are updated. We have our Visa being displayed for us with the expiration. And we can close. Our change due is 0, of course, since we put in our American Express. And our invoice is, our point of sale invoice is posted and processed properly. Let's try one more example. I've been mentioning that concept of on-account or project-related point of sale invoices. Sometimes a client might just be on site for a project review with the design team, and they see a piece that they want. Very easily handle that as well. So in this case, we're going to use the on-account option. And notice all of my billing and ship to address information is now disabled or unable for us to enter into. But we have our project selection. So let's say that Mrs. Carter comes in and saw a piece of art that she simply had to have. So we can select the project, and all of the information is shown for us. And that all comes from the project itself. So we can see our billing and shipping information is available for us. And this cannot be changed. It is coming from the project, so all that information is simply there for our reference. Hit the Next tab. Enter in the artwork that Mrs. Carter wants. There's our reflections painting, and we can process. Now, the on-account or project-related point-of-sale invoices, we do not have to input a full amount collected. This can be processed on account, as we can see. But a payment type still is required. I like to select cash, just in case I do want to enter in some information on the transaction description. On account. And from here, we're ready to process the invoice as we would a walk-in client. Print and post. And we're ready to go. But in this case, we do see a balance due at the bottom of the invoice. And upon closing, let's take a look. On our invoice window, that point of sale invoice is associated with the Carter's project. And there's still a balance due associated with it. Further, if we look on the project specifications for the Carters, notice design managers actually created that item in the project for us with a very specialized location code of bracket point of sale items. This allows us for perfect job costing. Now, Mrs. Carter came in and loved the piece of artwork, and we were more than happy to sell it to her. So we actually increased the fiscal scope of the project, and design managers reflecting that not only on the accounting side, but within the project specifications themselves. And we can even see that the first vendor is listed as inventory, knowing that it was an inventory sale. Very simple, the point of sale window. a little bit of small configuration, and you're really ready to go. Now, let's look at some other features. As I mentioned before, Design Manager stores the point-of-sale client and ship-to addresses, and it does so for our review in the address book. And we can see here are our point-of-sale clients, and we can even see the point-of-sale shipping addresses as well. And if we ever had a mistake entered into one of them, we can simply edit and make our changes for the future, or even when we reprint an invoice for them. Further, I can use my address book to export my list of point-of-sale clients to Excel, for example. All I have to do is right-click and hit the Export button, and Design Manager will craft our exported list into Excel, where I may provide to my marketing team for a mailing or whatever features I might want to utilize in some outside client management system. Can even print labels right from here as well. I can just use my Labels and Envelopes button. I can print for all records, and I can generate mailing labels from here as well. Further, I can also generate labels from our reports, mailing labels and envelopes, point-of-sale customers, so I can do it in both locations. So all that information being stored in one program for us really gives us simple access to utilize those addresses and emails and etc. that we have taken the time to record for future marketing and business. Another feature that's somewhat underutilized is we can configure Design Manager to automatically launch the point-of-sale login for particular users. So if we look at our company information window again, on our passwords tab this time, let's look at Ashley Brandon's password. Under accounts receivable, there's an option under point of sale for no forced login. When this is locked, as soon as Ashley logs in with her cloud account, Design Manager will automatically display the point of sale login for her. And if I have employees who are solely used for point of sale transactions, I could lock down all other aspects of Design Manager and only allow her to access the point of sale login. Very handy feature. Now, in our last segment, let's look at some of the reports that are associated with the point of sale system. Let's go to our accounting tab. We'll go to our accounts receivable reports. And obviously, we're making invoices, so all of those transactions will be listed on our sales journal along with our project-related invoices. And we can see them. There they are with that point of sale project code designation included with all of our other invoices, showing all of our revenue. So just like our invoices to our clients, our point of sale invoices are also going right into our revenue. And rather than transferring our costs out of work in process like we do for our sale to the carters, all of the inventory, all of our point of sale are transferring the cost out of inventory into cost of goods sold. So Design Manager even tracks that difference for you as well on the sales journal. And you can see our sales account summary. The credit is a reduction of our inventory. Our inventory asset account is being reduced as we sell it. And it's going to be increasing some corresponding cost of goods sold account. So all those invoices are integrated with all of your traditional project-related invoices. But we also have a sales report just for point of sale. Under our point of sale folder, there's a sales report. This takes a calendar date range. But you can see very simply, the summary version just lists one line per invoice. It'll show the date, the invoice number, the fiscal month. It'll group by register if you do have multiple registers. Transaction description, which employee was the login on the point of sale login window, when it was entered, walk-in or project, client, and the amounts. So a very nice, succinct listing of all point-of-sale transactions. And there's also a detailed version of the same report that's going to show all the same information, but it'll show each item that was sold as well. We have the point-of-sale cash receipts report. This is going to list all funds coming into the company via point-of-sale transactions. So we can see, grouped by payment type, American Express, cash, check, etc., the funds that were coming in of those different payment types, the date, the transaction number, the employee who registered it, of course, what the project was, walk-in or on account, and the amounts themselves. A very handy way to match up your receipts or to reconcile your register to the funds recorded in Design Manager from the point-of-sale transactions. And we also have the point-of-sale commission report. There's a standard commission report for all invoices in Design Manager, which many of you probably know, and all point-of-sale invoices will be included in there as well. But there's also a commission report focusing solely on point-of-sale transactions. And we can see we're grouping by employee. The commission percentage from the employee window is shown at the top, and we can see the invoice, the showroom, the type of transaction, either walk-in or client, the amount, cost, and the commission available or due payable to the employee as well. And each page will start fresh for every employee so they could be handed out individually quite conveniently. So that's a very structured discussion of the point-of-sale system in Design Manager. I really try to focus on the simple initialization required, how to process various types of point-of-sale purchases from our clients, and I've tried to show some of the more advanced features and reports that are often overlooked. And as usual, I'd like to thank everyone for taking time today to joining us, and I hope the discussion was insightful, and I hope that you attend another discussion in the near future.